Thanks, Pam. And now we visit with Colonel Jim Piva, retired Indiana State Trooper and longtime friend of Bill Monroe. Jim is the curator of Bill Monroe's Bluegrass Hall of Fame here at the Music Park. We get a tour with Jim, and he tells us how he came to be friends with the father of bluegrass.
I came down here to Bean Blossom 50 years ago, to be exact, in 1961, to hire Bill Monroe to play for a banquet we had with the State Police Department, which was a 3-day pistol match that we had back in those days. And during the middle of that match on Wednesday evening, we always had a banquet for the competitors, and they had some form of entertainment. Somebody suggested I come down here to Bean Blossom to try to hire Bill Monroe, who at that time was on the Grand Ole Opry, of course. And so I brought my wife and 3 little girls down, and we took a seat in the front row of the old Jamboree barn. And Bill came out on stage with his band and played his theme song, which was Watermelon Hanging on the Vine. And when they started playing that music, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. And I hired Bill for that banquet, and we started coming down here to see his shows. So he kind of watched my 3 little girls grow up on that front row, from little kids to young women. And when we started camping down here, he suggested that we take that spot where we still are, so he could come over and have coffee with us and have a meal now and then with us, you know, while we're here at the festival. So Bill was really more than just a friend. We kind of had a family type relationship with him, and we continued coming down here. And in 1977, he and the band came over to my campsite, and all dressed up in their stage gear and with their instruments, played music, told me to stand up, and I did, and he handed me a framed certificate, which was a lifetime pass to Bean Blossom, which I cherish yet today. Here we are in the Bill Monroe Museum and Hall of Fame, Bean Blossom, Indiana, and it's a collection of artifacts, photographs, clothing, and things that you would expect to find in a museum, all related to the career of Bill Monroe and his bluegrass music. Let's move on to this room if we can, and talk some about the Bluegrass Boys. Many, many people played in that band, in the Bluegrass Boys band, over the years. Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, the Osborne brothers, Jimmy Martin, and Carter Stanley for quite a short time, all had played as sidemen in the Bluegrass Boys and then left to form their own bands. These are typical outfits of the Bluegrass Boys. Normally, each of the Bluegrass Boys would wear the same outfit, and Monroe would wear some sort of a contrasting suit, a white suit or something that was different from what the band wore. But he insisted that they be clean-shaven and neat appearing, white shirts and ties, because, as he explained it, he wanted to respect the audience. He wanted the audience to respect him and his music that he was creating. He was a kind of an old-fashioned guy when it came to things like that. He hated the term hillbilly music, which is what a lot of the people call this music, hillbilly. He detested that term because he thought it was demeaning to the music. Around the corner here, we have a little collection. We're starting in the museum. A lot of people wouldn't dream that people would come to Bean Blossom, Indiana from all over the world. But one country is predominant. The Japanese fans who come here to Bean Blossom outnumber all of the other countries represented on the wall, because the Armed Forces Radio Network, which played music in Japan following World War II, always included the Grand Ole Opry. And so the Japanese people got to hear American country music for the first time, and for some reason they took to bluegrass. And while the June festival here at Bean Blossom has now become the oldest continuous bluegrass festival any place in the world, the second oldest one is in Japan. Interesting little sign here. Birch Monroe, Bill's older brother, ran the jamboree for him. And Birch was, I think you would say, fiscally conservative. And this was his main advertising during a show would be to put this sign out by the road here, out in front of the property. Big day and night show, and that meant there was something going on at the Jamboree Barn. Again, in this room, we have more country stars represented who were on the Opry or who played music with Monroe. So, this man with a 6th grade education who out on his own, traveling the highways in a station wagon, put together a sound, a music, that has now become popular to some degree all over the world. I think that's quite an accomplishment. I don't know of anybody who was more dedicated to what he did and who worked harder at it and had more respect for the people who would pay to come see him perform. You'd be surprised at the variety of people who come to bluegrass festivals. You know, the ordinary people would say, or the ordinary person probably would think, well, it's a bunch of hicks, you know, and people like that. But you meet everybody from ditch diggers to surgeons, all the way through. Every walk of life is represented, and they all have the common interest in the music, and all get along wonderfully because of what Bill created. Probably 75–80% of the people who live in Indiana don't know where Bean Blossom is. But all the bluegrass fans in the world know where it is. It's that kind of a place, you know.
Bill Monroe's Bluegrass Hall of Fame is open daily from 9 to 5. Find out more at beanblossom.us.